Hello and welcome to the Slapshot Syndicate podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more content, and whilst you're at it, go and follow our social media pages. They're on screen now. Now, on to the episode.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Slapshot Syndicate, episode 53, and the league kicks up another surprise. So many surprises and results this weekend. You know, straight off the bat, I remember talking to Brad and I was just like, we've had a stinker this week with our predictors. Some of these games have been a madness. I don't know if you saw them. What did you think to them?
Oh, you know, obviously I wasn't there on Sunday, but as always, I was keeping a very, very keen eye on the league, and a stinker is that's something. I mean, if you don't usually watch it, stick around for the predictor today because it's mental. And yeah, just massively shocking results from everywhere in the league. The top sides having a wobbler, the bottom sides having a belter, and just madness in between. It was an unbelievable weekend.
Yeah, it was, and it's exactly what I want to be seeing, you know, going towards the end of the season. Playoff form potentially coming for a few teams now. As you said there, those at the bottom chasing potentially that last spot as well. So the excitement's here every week and we're loving it.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting episode. I can't wait to delve into it.
Well, with that then, let's jump straight into Seahawks reaction and talk about how we got on. So, Hull Seahawks this weekend, starting off with a Friday away game at Basingstoke. Sometimes a tricky place to go. You don't really know what you're getting with Basingstoke at the minute. But Hull Seahawks coming with a 3-0 win. I know you watched the full game. I caught the first period. What did you think to it?
Very interesting one, actually. And I think, actually, my main point going into it would be about the first period. And it seemed pretty even. So you'll be able to sort of back me up on that one. But yeah, very, very interesting game. The Bison are a team this year who you don't really know what you're going to get from them. Sorry, they've beat some really good teams. They've beat they've beat very, very good teams at their home ice. So it's not always as easy as looking at their position in the league and expecting a win. But to go there and win in the way that we did, and you know, to get a shutout as well, I think is really, really admirable from the lads. Again, like I say, really difficult place to go, but we'll talk about that first period because obviously you can as well as. And I thought both teams was quite defensive, quite solid. No one really like going out of the way to do anything massively flashy or anything like that. You know, just sort of, I think there was more like sort of, I don't know, what am I trying to say? Test each other out, maybe?
Yeah, a feeling out process, perhaps, in the first period. Yeah, I mean, you know, you look at the form guard and Basingstoke last 5, you know, they're sort of on a bad run, really, losing the last 5 games. Hull Seahawks are on a decent run. And that, you know, after seeing Seahawks the weekend before, I thought, a bit of confidence going into this game, you know, but it didn't really start like that. I know what you mean. It was sort of feeling out. There was a lot of broken plays where Hull Seahawks maybe should have been the dominant side and building some flashy play. It didn't really seem to come to start with. And it was a bit of a weird game to watch in that sense. And you was just sort of like, you could see a spark of magic and, you know, the game would have turned. But unfortunately, it wasn't to come in that first period.
No, unfortunately not. And I think, again, that is testament to Basingstoke. I do think we didn't I'm not trying to say that we went there and just sat in front of our goal and let them take shots at us. That's not the case at all. Both sides were trying to build patterns of play. They were sort of trying to build, you know, their individual chances and things like that. But it just didn't really come off. To what I can remember, I think there was one, like, as they'd call it, grade A chance in the first period, and I think it fell right at the end with Owen Bruton. I think Bo Reader put it sort of like about a couple of yards out, but Max Wright made obviously a really good save on that occasion. But other than that, the chances in that first sort of period, I can't really think of many others. And again, that's how the Bison have won games this season at their home rink, sort of not drag other teams down, but you know, not allowing the other team to be, you know, free flowing, not allowing loads of chances on goal and things like that. And I think it works for them. You know, and like I say, and we saw that in the first period, really.
Yeah, I think it's easy to get a bit disheartened and a bit, you know, down with the performance when you think, oh, you know, what we're doing here, we haven't created anything or we haven't really had the chances on goal. But we've only got to look at the past couple of weekends where, weirdly, we've been the team that hasn't put the most shots on goal. I think Telford was a great example of that, where Telford massively outshot us. But in the end, we was far better in what quality we produced from our shots. And I think it was just another case of that. Just see how the game goes, build, get the play right, and it does come to fruition. And it did. Fortunately, Emmy Svek, 32 minutes in, opening the scoreline, which was obviously a massive goal on the night. And another good one for Emmy as well, with his form just being up and down lately, but he's wanting to get on the score sheet again, and he did.
Yeah, it was a really good chance as well. If I recall correctly, the Seahawks had just been on a power play. The Bison killed it. I think they'd stopped a shot and they'd hit it up the ice. Emmy sort of skated back for the puck. They went even strength, and then he just sort of skated right down the spine of everybody. There was maybe like 2 or 3 players that he just shimmied it in and out, went one-on-one with Max, right? Before Max could even sort of look up, he just sniped it. So it was literally about 4 or 5 seconds maybe from being a power play goal, but he really did just sort of take it on his back and thought, right, I've had enough of this now. It's time for some magic, and it really was that. For how big he is and his size and things like that, he's really powerful when he's skating. And if anyone had put a stick in or anything like that, it'd have been tripping straight away because he was so fast right down the spine. And it was a real good moment for them to score. I think because it was sort of like the Bison was getting a few penalties and, things like that, it was a little like, oh, are they going to sneak something here? Because, they're one of their best chances to score in that you could argue would be a power play. So the fact that sort of we had a power play and it didn't come off, you sort of like, oh, is it going to come? And then obviously Emmy went and scored that opening goal, and again it didn't take much time for sort of us to add to that.
No, just short of 35 minutes, and we got the second goal. And I think it's worth noting as well, Chamberlain assisting on the first goal, and then gets another assist on this one. Again, with Svek adding to his goal, he gets an assist, and it was Jordan Stallard who at the back of the net. The Stallion, as we like to call him, he's putting in some great performances at the minute. I really like his work ethic. Very similar to Johnny Corneal for me. The way they play, hard grit and but back and forward up the ice, and it's good to see when players like that are starting to get goals as well. Obviously it's a bit of a numbers game, in it, so you got to chip those in as well.
Yeah, definitely. And to be honest with you, Stallard probably hasn't got the credit he deserves this season, especially in the last couple of weeks when Johnny sort of moved up and down the lines. Obviously Johnny Corneal, when Sobchak departed, he sort of filled in on the first line. From what we've heard, and obviously what Matty said in interviews, Stallard obviously wanted an opportunity as well in the middle. So Stallard has moved up to the first line at times for Corneal to then swap back onto the second line, and it's worked. And on Friday, we was obviously missing Johnny, who is a big loss for us. But the fact that he sort of filled in that centre role, which is really important on your first line, and then obviously he's still, putting up. He got the second assist before Chamberlain for the first goal, and then getting on the score sheet himself is really good. And that sort of combination from Emmy and Chamber and Stallard worked really well on Friday night. It was really good to see.
It's what you want to be seeing there. I think that's maybe where Peterborough have suffered a little bit at times. Is we talk about that top line and how good it is. But when you start pushing towards this part of the season and you've got a few injuries and a few knocks, you need to be able to spread those points across your lines. And I think Seahawks at the minute are probably one of the better teams for this, and how much depth, and Matty said it numerous times now, but the depth is becoming invaluable to us, and we are seeing the real benefit of that and the legs that we've got now.
I'd argue, and this will probably sound biased, but I'd argue that our depth is the best in the league at the moment. I think Swindon, obviously, if you look at theirs on paper, on their best day, maybe that team, but in terms of form and how good every single line's playing as a collective, you can't look past us because we're getting points from every line, every game. And, look, the third goal, for example, as well. So obviously it was 2-0 after the 35th minute. And a nice one about that second goal, actually, as well, is the Bison went through on us, and Heiskanen made another really good save, to which we then picked up the puck, went up the other end and scored, it's those moments where if that goal goes in, the game completely flips on its head. And because you've got somebody in the net, which obviously I'm sure we'll go on to talk about again for Heskey, as we have every week since he's arrived. But yeah, for them to go to the other side was fantastic. Obviously, that's another first line goal. But then the next goal came, and it was sort of out of the blue, really. But you look at who's on the assist, and that's Moose, who's on obviously the third line usually, Huey, second line, and the man, the myth, the legend, who will play wherever you want him to play and whatever line, he doesn't care. Josh Hodgkinson picked up a goal for himself, which I'm sure he'll be really happy about. And yeah, Huey sort of played it back to the blue line, was in their area, sort of ratting about, because again, I think those 2 earlier goals would give us that bit of momentum. And Huey passed it back to Hodge, who was on the blue line. He just skated in a little bit and just took a bit of a wild shot and flew in for him. And yeah, I think, we can talk about the attack all you want in terms of the game, and they did have a really, really good night. But, you've got to talk about those defensive boys as well. And obviously Hodge getting that goal for him and obviously contributing to the shutout is really good.
Yeah, and I think that is going to be the story of the full weekend, starting with this game, and how much of a team performance it has been across all the lines, both defence and forwards. And obviously the goaltending at the minute, which, as you said there, we won't stop talking about for till the end of the season, at least the way it's going. So the full team performances are coming out, and it is benefiting everybody. We are probably seeing the best out of certain people now, and chipping in points wise and performances and man of the match performances. It's all collecting really nicely. But you mentioned there about we're probably arguably the best depth team in the league. Looking at Swindon, I guess we'll find out in the coming weekend when Swindon come into our gap.
Absolutely. Four-line hockey versus four-line hockey. We will find out. And Swindon have had the better of us, haven't they, quite a few times this season. And obviously the last time they came as well. So, yeah, it will be a really interesting game. But the one factor that we didn't have before is we didn't have Heskey back then. So I am really, really excited for this coming week, playing Leeds in a doubleheader and Swindon, to see how we fare, because I don't want to be too excited about it, but we could give him a game, Azza.
I'd literally, I don't want to digress too much on what's coming up when we're talking about what we've just done, but I said to Bradders, and I said, this is the real test this week, because if Seahawks can get something from the coming week, Leeds, I was arguing maybe they wasn't at the best. They've turned over Swindon, they look. Yeah, and Sheffield, they've looked bang at it when they've needed to this weekend. So maybe we're going to see the best of Leeds, but are they going to see the best of us now that we've got a complete package? Who's to know?
That's it. And a big factor in that will be the four-line hockey that we're playing, and we're playing really, really well at the moment. So, yeah, I think story of this game, top to bottom, everyone did the job. Shutout was really nice for Heskey, who did make again. He made a lot of good saves. I think they had 27 shots on goal on the night, and we had 30. So again, pretty even. We just was really solid defensively. I think the Bison will be disappointed not to have scored, but when you've got Heskey in goal playing the way he did, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. So yeah, really good for the boys, forward and defensively. Everyone worked as a team, and it was a real good team performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So then we roll into Sunday, the home game for Hull Seahawks, and Milton Keynes was in town. Milton Keynes themselves have been a bit up and down, had a fair decent run of the games, and had some decent pickups as of late as well.
Yeah.
So it was interesting really to see what sort of game was going to have here. Obviously, the previous time we played Milton Keynes, we had a really nice 7-0 lead, and we sort of didn't turn up for the third period, and we lapsed a little bit and it ended 7-5. But to see how that changes and went into this game, it was night and day, to be honest with you. So Hull Seahawks taking this one 5-1. Unfortunately, you didn't attend this game, so you didn't get to see it in the flesh. But can I tell you, it was an absolute weldy of a game.
So I've watched the highlights. I was very impressed with the highlights. And yeah, unfortunately, if you didn't watch last week's episode, I was not unfortunately. I was on a Valentine's trip with my wife, which I really enjoyed. I wasn't, not unfortunately, but unfortunately, I missed the game. It would have been great if it was a Saturday game or something like that, so I could have attended. But we digress anyway. But yeah, our friend Chris came in space of me, didn't he? And I messaged him after the game, and I said, "What's your first? What's your thoughts?" And he put, "Heskey's unbelievable." I was like, "Yep." But that wasn't just the story of the game, was it? As because I've seen the highlights, you've seen the highlights, and again, a massive team performance.
Massive, and it was straight out the doors as well. As soon as we started, we looked like it was as if somebody had said to Seahawks, you need to go get at these straight away, and that they did. Just over a minute in, 1-0 up. The fans have only just settled down from the start of the game. You get your little excitement as the first puck drops and bang, we're hit in the back of the net. You think, big moment this in the game. And that it was, because you could just see all of a sudden MK was just like, oh no, not this again. Not after the 7-0. But we looked so good. So good. It was just nice tiki-taka passing, opening them up, back of the net. And it just continued in that vein as well. Just Headley, for as good as he is, he looked pretty bang average on the night, to be honest with you. And I said this to Bradders and those around me. I said, this is where Hull Seahawks now look a completely different team. Goaltenders used to be able to turn up and have an okay night and still get a win, because our goaltending hasn't been the best, in the past year or so. We've now got Heskey in goal, and the opposition goaltenders have to have a worldie to get some out of the game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're right. And I think that goal from Stally is a massive statement of intent for the boys. And what better can you have on home ice after a minute of getting that first goal, the crowd bit erupting and being like, we're in for it again here. That has just got to push you on. We've spoke to so many players and they've said, like, the fans can be such a big influence on you. And when you've got everyone from from bottom to top in the stands are cheering for you and going after you, it's just got to push you on and push you on and push you on. And we look at the timings of the goals in the game, and it's not coincidental. Like, so spaced out. And I think that the fact of how much the fans have sort of supported the team will really help that. But yeah, you're right. As again, like, Headley is one of the better keepers in the league, if not one of the best. And I don't know whether it's him turning up and being average or us just really outplaying MK. To be honest, like, we are in massively good form at the moment, and maybe before teams maybe have come to us and thought, oh well, they're playing three-line hockey after 2 periods, they're going to be tired and this, that, and the other. But then when you've got a fourth line of Crawley, Bruton, and Alex Kent just up and down the ice, it's not giving you a moment to rest. And every line above that, every single line has their own identity and the job that they do. It's brilliant to see. And again, like I say, we're going to go through the sort of the stats and stuff like that. And there's people from each line who've featured in the goals. It's really good.
And they've all been really good, like, quality goals as well. It's not like, oh yeah, they've just ratted about a bit and got away one, or they've caught a team on a change or tiredness. The full team played some really good ice hockey. And, so I mentioned to you before we even started, but some of the assists were better than the goals themselves on this night. Absolutely unbelievable.
The first goal, obviously, we saw the highlights. The first goal was a well-worked goal, but can we talk about the second goal? Wowzer. Like, I watched it on YouTube today when it was uploaded, and this is Monday, by the way, and I audibly was like, oh my God, when Emmy did that ridiculous no-look, sort of swivel outside of the stick pass, beamed it onto the tape, as you so eloquently put it, right onto the tape of Cornel, and obviously Johnny then finished. But wow, what an assist that was by Emmy, and that's a player who is really coming into a sort of, like, they don't want to say swagger, but that confidence where he's sort of like, I'm playing well here, and well, swagger might exactly be what you want from one of your leading players. Like, he's playing with that confidence, he's playing with that sort of like, I know how good I am again, and yeah, unreal assist.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few of us, talking about it after the goal had happened and the play restarted, and was just like, there's no right to be doing stuff like that on the rink. You know what I mean? Just be able to pull off little moves like that and passes, and then you just go pop it in the back of the net. You just think, you've got no right to be doing that. No right whatsoever.
Yeah, it almost. I don't want to mention his name because there's a lot of people who might think he's a bit of a turncoat, but it almost reminded me of Sobs from last year. The sort of like where he used to just pick it up and dance around people, and his signature was sort of like a little outside of this little twirly pass and something like that. But maybe he sort of picked that one up from his mate Scratchbook and sort of like, I'm going to show you how I do it. And did he do that? It was an unbelievable assist, like really, really good.
There were a lot of good players on the night, and we could pretty much mention 90% of the squad. But I think a fair one is definitely Johnny Cornel. Obviously, you mentioned him in the Basingstoke game where he was missing. Obviously, had a bit of a knock, struggling a bit at the moment. He played the first period in this game. Initially, I believed he scored the first 2 goals. He hadn't. He went for one goal, and then the Stallion sort of tipped it in, I think, and got the goal. But Cornel had a great first period. He could see what he does bring to the team, and unfortunately, he did have to sort of bow out after that first period, which Matty said about in his interview. But if we can get him back, sort of for these coming games against Leeds and Swindon, he's going to be massive for us as well, because, like you said, the depth and the quality on the lines, scary.
I don't think it'll be one where he's like a million miles away. I think the fact that he did play on Sunday is a positive sign. And to be honest with you, like Bo Reeder sat out on Sunday night, didn't he? So when he sort of, to say that we've got that depth where we're actually having to exclude players. I know that Matty obviously mentioned that he had a niggle, but he played on Friday night. But obviously Bo might come back in on Wednesday if Johnny can't play, and then Cornel plays up. Who is it? Moose might play up to the second line or someone like that, and everyone sort of goes up. It's really good to have that depth in our side now. But you are right to say that he played one period and got an assist and a goal is admirable, and it's just showing what Johnny can do all season. I was actually thinking earlier when I was going through Team of the Week and the stats and stuff, that one of the people that I put in our Team of the Week, I was saying he might be the most underrated player of the season so far. But actually, my instant thought was, but you're discounting Johnny Cornel again, which is the prime example. And I will go on a limb and say he has been the most underrated player of the season in any team, because the performances he puts in on a weekly basis are just a joke. And like you said, if we can get him back as soon as possible without pushing him too much, because again, we need to recognise that we're still like 10 games out, 12 games out until playoffs. We don't want to rush him back, and Matty will be very conscious of that, and he'll be wanting to make sure we've got the best of Johnny by playoffs. So I think if we don't see him this week, then it's not, oh my God, he's gone forever. I think it's more just playing it cautiously, and I think that's probably the right move to take.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's when you're in a good form like we are at the minute, we're playing well. It's easy to rest players. You're not as, we need you back. I think if Seahawks was on a bad run of form and we was losing the past 4 or 5 in a row, then he might be, trying to knock on the door and say, Johnny, we need you back on the ice as soon as possible, pushing him. I don't think, it's not a case we don't need him. We'd love him on the ice, but we don't need to force him in it. And it's a real good moment to be in when you don't have to force him back.
Unreal, it's an unreal situation to be in as well. And let's be frank as well. Johnny Cornel is not a player who wants to sit out, like, by any stretch. He'll have played hurt. He played hurt last season, and when we are in bad stretches, there's no chance that Johnny would be the one to say, I don't want to go back on for the second or third. He probably didn't on Sunday, but Matty probably recognised that it wasn't his night, to sort of be trying to push through it. Especially with how everyone's playing, and again, it's just a testament to the depth of the team, and the way the fourth line and the third line are playing, and everyone's playing up and things like that. It's sort of like a luxury, the fact that you can rest a player of like the magnitude of Johnny in terms of our team, and still be so successful like there was for the remainder of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just going back to the game as a whole. 2-0 up at the end of the first period, but it could have been very different. As you mentioned in Basingstoke, a big save, and we got one again from the man of the moment, Heskey. So MK had that wrist shot. I don't know if you saw it in the highlights, and he almost just sort of drops starfishes and just grabs this puck, but it was in slow motion. I remember just stood there and made in my hands, just like, he's taking he's a joke. He had no right to save it, but it was just a woof. Gorrit, and you're just like, this lot must be thinking, how do we score past him when he's doing stuff like that? It's a joy to watch goaltending when it looks like that.
We can't talk enough about Heskey, and he on his own will get crowds up for it, and like we've just touched on, that support from the crowd, especially when it's going right, can really push you on in a game. If you are letting in a soft goal or something like that, it's almost like a dampener to the atmosphere where you're like, oh, like, come on, boys, right now we have to get another goal. It's quite a tight game, this, but like you say, in that first period, if Heskey does concede that goal, then it's 2-1 and it's game on, isn't it, for MK? They're going into the change rooms being like, right, we've got 20 minutes in here, the Seahawks momentum's killed now, let's go back out there and give them it. And going in 2-0 is so much more important than 2-1, and that's what Heskey's bringing at the moment.
Yeah, and it was interesting going into that second period. You thought, a 2-0 lead, it could still go either way. They get another chance like that, they're back in the game. Or do we then push and capitalise some more? And we did. We went and got the third goal, and it was the only goal of the period as well, but it was enough. And on the power play as well, absolutely massive. On a night where it was our discipline that was called into question a little bit. We give up 6 penalties, and some of them was a bit, what we're doing that for, bit needless, but we capitalised on ours, which was massive for us. And the power play looks really good again, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I appreciated what Matty said in his interview about that. He said that obviously, he said as much as we are playing really well at the moment, the weakness to our game, which we could argue, we've had that sort of bit about us for quite a while now, is giving those penalties away. And Connor Lynn said so well on his on the commentary. Sorry, Heskey's only conceded 4 goals in open play since he signed for the Seahawks. So if you can keep it 5-on-5, then you've got a chance to, like, mathematically and statistically, you've got a chance to win every game. So like we said, the more that we aren't giving away those penalties and things like that, it will be really important for us. I know that obviously we can say, I don't know what the referees was like on the night. I don't know if you have an opinion on that or whatever. I know Matty said obviously there was a couple either way where you might have thought, well, that maybe want a penalty or it's a bit soft. But yeah, I think if we focus on ourselves rather than MK, if we can sort of tighten that up as well, I think it's going to be really positive.
Yeah, I mean, the game itself did start to get a bit chirpy and chippy at some points, and it felt like a playoff game, to be honest with you, where there was a few bits where you could see it clear as day. Should have been a penalty call, but it was just left to standing. He was like, okay, cool, if we're letting this go, let's just go over it. This is cool by everyone involved, everybody loves the high octane action. But then, like, an odd call would be made, and you're just like, come on, then. Where would you want the line here? You know what I mean? But,
at least be consistent,
That's it, and that's all you want to see. But I don't know much about him, but Spadafor, he played Pantoman Villain again. I mean, he's one who can talk the rubbish. I don't know if he's Mr. I am at MK or what, but God, he gives it some large ones, and he's a bit of a sausage, in my opinion.
I don't know what his role is. I know last season he was in and out of the side because he was the 5th import a lot. I think this season they've sort of opted for 2, haven't they, with Forsberg and Spadafor. And yeah, I think if you ask an MK fan, he is an important player for them. But for me, as an import, I feel like they've got like the Salisbury and people like that who can back it up and have them fight.
Yeah.
If you're being paid to be there as an import defenseman, do that first. And I think what Spadafor does, we might be wrong, but from what I've seen of Spadafor, I don't know whether at times he gets carried away with the antics rather than actually playing ice hockey. And if he's obviously a very good ice hockey player because he's being paid to come to England and play ice hockey. So do that first rather than the chirps and rather than roughing and cross-checking and come on then, let's have a fight, because every time he does that, he's sat on the bench for 5 minutes and your team don't have an import defenseman. I don't know. Is it or am I getting it wrong? Is he brought in to be a goon or this enforcer kind of role? But if you're playing 2 import defensemen and you're losing 5-1, then no disrespect, but something's not right, is it?
No, and again, I remember in the last game we played against him, he sort of went for like the younger guy, and again, it seemed to be the smaller, younger guy he wanted to sort of get give a bit of a bang into. But there was one moment where like Bobby turned and like give him a bit back, and he sort of just skated off with his tail between his legs, and I was just like, what's your role in this team? Are you meant to be, getting under people's skin? Because you're not.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just such an odd player to watch for me. I mean, like I say, I don't watch him week in, week out, so I could be talking nonsense here. But from my perspective, seeing him twice, he just seems a really odd player for MK.
Yeah, he does. And again, when you have these imports, it's got to work, hasn't it? And obviously they've was it Korinchuk that they had earlier in the season, and they sort of got rid of him, didn't they? He was one of their forwards, and it's a big call to make. So if Tim Wallace is putting his trust in you, you've got to then be, backing that up. And I don't know, maybe Tim Wallace is saying to him like, "Oh, great job again tonight, Spads. You really showed that Bo reader when you're cross-checking him." I don't know. Or is it a tactic of, right, let's go wind the Seahawks up. Spads, you need to go and like rough up some of their young'uns and put Bobby Chamberlain off. I don't know. But even if that is the case, again, look at the outcome and it's not worked, has it? Like MK, we could talk about MK all day in their season. I think the fans do it better than we ever will. It's not been good this season, has it? I know they've had a bit of injuries and things like that. I've seen some wild things. I don't know whether you've seen it today. As there's a woman who they said, "Oh, we're over the injury crisis now." So I'm thinking, well, what is it then at the moment? A woman who was an MK fan put something on a forum, and she said, "These lads just don't like playing in this top. I think we should get them a top that they really like playing in. I think it's the shirt that maybe they don't like the colour of the shirt, or maybe they don't like the design of the shirt and they don't feel confident in the shirt." I don't know whether it was banter or not, but loads of people was commenting on it being like, "Are you right?" And it's like, "Oh, the shirt don't match the socks," and something like that. But it was like, but she put at the end of it, just think of retro night. They played in a really cool shirt and put a really good game in. Maybe it's something to do with that. And I'm thinking, if it's what the hell's going on there? It's ridiculous.
Maybe there's something behind this, mate, because you got to think, when we was at Coventry last year and there was all pinked up with the cowboy hats and stuff like that, and it was in a full pink block, maybe they just need to go back to the pink and get the best out of them again. Maybe that's it.
I just
maybe we are missing the trick.
If we're stooping down to saying that the boys aren't playing well because they don't like the colour white on a shirt, then there's an issue, isn't there? Bloody hell. But yeah, let's go into the third period anyway. So obviously the 3-0 at the third at the end of the second. Sorry, obviously only one goal. Before we go into the third period, as Matty touched that, it was a bit of not an end-to-end period, but it was a bit of a weird period. Second period, wasn't it? Did we allow them to come back into it a little bit?
I think it was just, I think maybe in Tim Wallace's mind, he could see signs of 7-0 again, when the last came to the Hull Seahawks. So maybe he thought, I need to stamp this out and I need to stamp it out now. We need to reset and change a different way and a different, thought process of how we're going to attack this period, because they didn't obviously want to go down that route again where, I know they pulled it back in that game slightly, but they didn't want to go to a bit of a beating again. And it did sort of even itself out in that second period, and it was a bit end to end. I think, maybe Heskey had a bit more to do in that period. He had to make some more saves, and they pressed a bit more. But again, just they came up against Heskey, and he was just saving everything in front of him, and it was easy for him in some respect. I know that sounds a bit, disrespectful, but just the way he performs. There was one where he sort of got nudged into his goal, and he was sort of underneath his crossbar, hunched over like that. And I think 90% of goaltenders would have been like, "Oh my God, I just need to..." Yeah. He just sort of stood there, waited, and then all of a sudden he saw the puck and just dived forward without even thinking of his own safety. And just dived on top of his puck, and he was just like, this guy's got it. This guy has got exactly what you need. There's no panic. There's no worry. He just sort of defends his goal really well. And when he sees the puck, he just thinks, I'm having that.
That's mad. Love that. And you've either got to be a lunatic, can't you, to be a goaltender? And if you've got a goaltender, you can't be afraid of those situations, can you? You can't flap in those situations. And like you say, when the puck's there and he's diving on it, and I think I know what you mean as well, because there was a bit of a coming together afterwards, and he just sort of like stood up, dropped the puck, and just skated off for a cool. Is that right?
Yeah, there was a couple. There was another one like that where they had a bit of a shot from the offside, and then it sort of was in the air, and Heskey just sort of come out and was just like, "I'll just grab that, cheers." And there was a bit of a bump, and all of a sudden the Seahawks defenseman was just ragging this player around, and he was just, "I'll go for a jump then." All right, fans, how's it going?
Boys? Yeah, love it. Yeah, good. And to be fair, on that, what you've just said, it's really good to see that. Obviously, every you'd think that every decor and every sort of defenseman would look after his netty, but I feel like the Seahawks really are doing that at the moment. Anything to do with Heskey, I think they all appreciate how well he's playing. I think Hodge was in there at one point and he was proper giving it loads, as if to be like, you stay away from our netty. He's one of our boys here.
It's like, a bit old school in the thought. We've said it a few times in the past year or so, but like imports getting into fights or letting your import get jumped by a brick guy, it should just be a no-no.
No.
If these things are happening, your players should be in there just giving someone a bit of a knuckle sandwich. And the players seem to be doing that for Heskey at the minute. They'll defend him. If somebody goes near him, they're straight on him, just grabbing players. And, it's not a case of like fighting them, but just giving them a bit of a bang on the helmet. And they're like, oh, Christ, I don't need this.
Yeah. I know what I'm going to get if I go any further.
Yeah, I can just think, nah, no thanks.
Totally right. So, third period then, no signs of stopping there.
No, I mean, the 2 goals for us in this period was top draw, really good goals. And I think we've mentioned it. So I think the 4th one was, I think Headley made like a double save, and then he was still face down on the ice, and we still got it and put it in the back of the net. And he just sort of laid there with his head down in the ice, just thinking, what's happening to me tonight here? This is awful, And then
can I touch on this one as well? Because I noticed who was on the assist, and I quite like this actually. Power play goal. Obviously, we lost Johnny earlier in the game, didn't we? Jack Musil on the power play, which was quite nice to see. Was that like an occurrence all the way through the night, or was it a change or something?
I think this one was a real long sort of power play, and I think it was just one of those where we've had to maybe change up who was on the power play at the time, because we had good pressure on their end, but it was just a case of like, we just need to freshen it up, and just that little slight change there, just bringing in a different set of legs and somebody who wouldn't normally be on the power play but can offer maybe just something a little different. And it did pay off, and like say, fair play to Moose for being on there and adding to that power play unit.
Like that, because again, he's one that we sort of signed near Christmas. There was no real expectation from him. Obviously, we know where he's played before in America and for the Steelers and things like that, so he's obviously got a pedigree. But Matty said himself that it's going to take him some time to grow into the role and get used to it. But he seems to be like a real good pickup that we've had, doesn't he? Like, to say that he hasn't been playing for 2 years, like he's really chipping in at the moment, and the fact that, like you say, he's getting onto that power play, maybe like plays a similar role to Huey. So like if Huey comes off on a power play, Moose can go right in and just play the same role of like sort of orchestrating it. And for him to get an assist, I didn't watch the game, but when I saw that he got an assist on the power play, I was quite happy with that one.
Yeah, and he didn't look out of place either, you know what I mean? Yeah. I didn't exactly look and go, oh, Moose on the power play. Yeah. He just slotted in there real well, which is good if players can slot in seamlessly and add a bit to them units, which
definitely. And then, so that was 43 minutes. Did we carry on with chances before the next goal, would you say?
I think it was a bit of end-to-end. I think, MK was really trying to push just to get the one goal. I don't think A, they wanted to get shut out on, and B, leave with nothing to it, to be able to say, oh, we'll give it something, at least we got a goal. Because, like you said, the longer the night went on, you thought, he's going to do it again, Heskey. He's going to get another shutout because he's good for it. And they just seem to be throwing everything at him and just getting nothing for it. But
it was from what I saw in the highlights as well, the boys were really putting the bodies on the line, top to bottom. I saw a highlight, I think it was Josh Hodgkinson got in front of a slap shot, like laying down on the ice to get in front of it. I think there was a power play that you mentioned as well that Alex Kent, like it went off his helmet or something like that. Himself in the way of the puck. Like, you've got to be nuts to play ice hockey. You've also got to be even more nuts to willingly throw yourself in front of, like, it's a solid piece of rubber, and these guys are whacking it at God knows what miles per hour. But every single player just seems to be so bought in at the moment and defending for their lives. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's straight from the Brad Emerson school of defending, that one. When we were playing ball hockey and he had no issues with just standing there without pads on and taking a rocket, and I was just like, wow, rather you than me, mate.
Yeah, let you do that. He's the madman. Yeah. No,
and then, we move on to our 5th goal, and this one, again, was a real special one. We was talking about this before we started recording, and how it sort of played, and it was real nice. So the vantage point we had when we was watching, you could see sort of Headley like a little out of his crease at the top of it, and you could just see 2 sticks on the floor. You're just like, back door, we've got a goal here. And this pass was Chef's kiss. Straight to the back door, and there was Bobby Chamberlain, who got it, had a half second to flick it in the back of the net. But Headley was just stood there on his knees, and he didn't even, it went by him, and he didn't think, I'll dive back and try and stop this going in. He just stood there facing forward and just thought, that's unreal, that. And he just thought, I've been beaten. And it was class to watch it.
Yeah.
Like I say, he had a bit of a bad night, Headley, but some of the goals he conceded he didn't have a chance, to be honest. So it was just unfortunate for him.
Yeah, it must be hard for Headley in that circumstance. And to be fair, I don't want to bash MK too much, but he's been let down there as well because, like, I don't want to take anything away from the goal. Like, the way I think Svek picked it up behind the net, is that right? Played it into Jordy Stallard, and it was an absolute beautiful pass right across. And it was it's like one of those passes where everyone just stands still because they can't do anything about it. And Chamber, with all the experience he's got, he was in a really, really good position. He's peeled away from a defenseman. He had 2 yards all the way around him, didn't he?
Yeah.
Perfect spot, touch, bang, goal. And I thought, that's an unreal goal. That is unreal. Just shows what everyone's bought in. Everyone's playing hockey, and everyone's so confident. Like that goal. Maybe if in November, if we're having that sort of up and down spell, we probably don't score that goal.
No, you're right.
With the way that they're playing at the moment and the confidence that they've got, and again, we're talking about that line of Stallard and Svek and Bobby, that little trio. It's only positive for what's to come, isn't it?
Absolutely, and this is exact sort of play and momentum we wanted going into these next few weeks. Like I say, we talk about this coming week again. Where we're playing 3 games against some of the best teams in the league, 2 against Leeds, one against Swindon, and we're going to see where we're at realistically. We've had a couple of good games here, but when we're against the best, what are we going to look like now with Heskey in goal, everybody buying in, the work rate, the quality of the goals we're scoring? This will be the real test, and if we could win 2 out of these 3, that is a massive statement in my opinion.
Oh, it's massive, and it's a big statement of intent for the playoffs as well. If Swindon go home and we've beaten them, they'll think, what's happened there? We've had their number all season. Like, there's a big change there, and I think every time we play Leeds, we always get up for it, don't we? I know there was that one near Christmas time, which was a bit of a rough one, but we're not that team anymore. That was I feel like that was a lapse in form, and I think the identity that we've got now, it's going to be. I'm actually really looking forward to Wednesday night, which historically you probably wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I can't wait for Leeds to come to town, would you?
No, absolutely not. It can be a bit of an awkward one playing on a Wednesday night, but looking forward to it. But just to go back to this game and sort of wrap it up, we're 5-0 up. We're in the dying embers of the game. And I remember a few of us talking around us like, he could do this. He could be on for a back-to-back shutout. I can't remember the last time a Hull goalkeeper did get 2 shutouts, a full weekend of shutout. That is some going, but Patrick Forsberg had to come up and spoil the party, didn't he, with about 40, 48, 49 seconds left, something ridiculous like that. And it was just a blue line ripper, and there was a bit of traffic in the way, and it has just found its way in the bottom corner, and you was just like, you bloody had to, didn't you?
You know what? The good thing about the Seahawks, if you haven't seen the highlights from this game, go watch it, because the way it's edited is really good as well. It shows you the game in play, it shows you it's slow motion, it shows you from behind the goal as well. At the moment, Forsberg hits that puck, there's about 3 players in Heskey's eye line, and it's literally everyone's just skating, and the moment it hits it, they're there, and he's like, you can't see a thing. And whilst I know that people will have been disappointed about not getting the shot, and I don't want people to be overly critical on the Seahawks and the defensemen especially for that, because I think look at what they've done this weekend. They've shipped 1 goal, and it was a goal that, name me another keeper in the league that makes that save. I don't personally think there is one, and I think on current form you can look around the league, and again I'll be bold, but I don't think there's a better netminder currently playing than Heskey, in terms of form. So yeah, it's a big shame. They will be disappointed that it can't go back to back, but it's nowhere near action stations or anything like that. It was just it's really well hit as well, to be fair. Just rips it as hard as he can, bottom left, and again, Heskey, he'll like to have thought that he had a chance, but it was a really tough one.
Yeah. So to wrap up then, 4-point weekend again. The team's looking really good. You know, the form is going to hopefully carry on through this week where we've got a tester. Back to front, it's looking really solid, and you know, run up to playoffs is looking good. I can't wait to get there.
Yeah, it's going to be unreal. I mean, by the week, I'm just becoming more and more excited. The Coventry weekend in itself is unreal, but yeah, I'm loving watching the Seahawks at the moment. They're playing some really, really nice hockey. Win or lose, the performances have improved massively. And I mean, what is that? 5 wins in a row now. It's no coincidence, is it?
No, not at all.
So,
well, that wraps up Seahawks reaction for this week. Let's move on to the other teams in the league. So now we're going to have a look at the rest of the results in this past weekend. And as we, mentioned in our intro, some of these were completely out of our predictions. There was some really weird and wonderful scores. If anybody guessed some of these and get the lottery on this week, I'd be saying.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't put it better there. When you're looking and just before we start as well, we touched last week, and a big part of this weekend and the way that I was able to keep up was using the Blue Line Sports app, Blue Line Stats, Azza, which we've all downloaded now, haven't we? And it's been great. And, they've been so kind to sort of like help us out and want to support this segment around the league. Obviously, that's brought to you by Blue Line Stats, which is really good. But more to the point, they've got a feature in their app that sends you push notifications every time there's a goal. And I mean, I don't think I was the only one as. When some of these goals lines or these goal scores were coming through, I was almost checking as if to be like, is there an error here? Because what the hell is going on?
Well, like you say, I get it through on my Apple Watch when they come through. So like when I was at Seahawks and I was looking down and you sort of like double looking, you're just like, whoa, hang on a minute. And you're scrolling to have a quick look and you're seeing some of them come through, you're thinking, God, is there a bug in this app or something? Because surely that's the wrong way around. And no, it wasn't. They was just completely out of their scores. And we'll jump into it now and start recapping some of these because they're worthwhile noting. So starting with Friday, the 13th of February, the first game on the night was Leeds Knights hosting the Swindon Wildcats, one that we had our eyes on, and a big one for Swindon, who were chasing those last 9-10 wins for the title, and it didn't go their way. 6-3 win for the Leeds Knights.
No, again, give Leeds the credit on their day at the Castle. They can beat anybody, but I think with current form, Swindon, I don't know if they had a bit of a wobbly weekend last weekend, maybe picking up 2 points, but I think we all back Swindon in this one. We sort of, with what they can do, that we've said so many times this season, with the personnel that they've got, they can go anywhere and beat anybody, or they can beat anybody at their barn as well. So yeah, this was a surprising one for me. From looking at the stats, it seems like a certain magician sort of pulled out his magic wand, and that's not a metaphor for anybody, by the way, before we get cancelled. But Owen Sobchak's had an absolute weldy in this game. I think he was 2+2 or something like that. And you need big players to play in big games, obviously, and that's shone through on it.
Yeah, once again, we know firsthand what he can do and what he will do, given the chance. And I must say, like, his name hasn't really popped up much in the past few weeks for Leeds, and it was sort of like, is it not really working out for him? But starting the weekend here, he's shown what he can do when he's back at his best, and that he did, like you say, getting a couple of goals, couple of assists, and Leeds taking the win.
Yeah, and I think elsewhere as well, I think Kieran Brown's got a point. So that line of Brown, Bissonnette and Sobchak is like Leeds' go-to, I think, at the moment. I don't know whether you know, Az, but I found out this week that, Ennis Gallagher from Leeds, he's out for the season now, and he was quite a big player for them on the second line, I believe. So I think they have had a couple of injuries that have not gone their way. So I think at the moment it's sort of like if the first line are on it, then Leeds are on it. Obviously, they've got like Liam Payton and Ollie Endicott and Bally and people like that. So it's probably not fair just to say the first line are the only one scoring. But yeah, in this game, the first line was very, very heavily influential. So fair play to them. Do you think that's a worrying one for Swindon away from home to lose 6-3 to Leeds?
Face value, I know we'll talk about the rest of their results, but the weekend as a whole wasn't great for Swindon. I wouldn't say it's panic stations, but I think there's real concern there, to be honest with you. Are they easing off a bit because it's coming towards the end of the season and they've got a nice points gap? Who knows? I'm sure, Aaron Nell would be drilling them after this weekend and saying, this isn't good enough. We want to be getting over the line as soon as possible, and then we can sort of reassess where we're at and sort of, control ourselves going into playoffs. I think this isn't a good look for a team that are pushing for that title.
No, it's not. And I think let's go into the second game as well. Obviously, there was another game on the Friday night, which was the Bison versus Seahawks, which obviously we came out 3-0 winners. Don't have to touch more on that. But as of the first game on Saturday, the 14th of Feb, was Swindon versus Solway, back at the Link. One that probably the Swindon fans will have thought, right, let's leave Leeds in the rearview mirror. Let's focus on this one, a big win. But how did it go?
5-4 victory to Solway.
Yeah. Very interesting one. And to be fair, Solway went 2-0 up on the night as well. It weren't just like a sort of smash and grab, they got one at the end and won it. Like, they did get one in the 58th minute. But at that point, they were still winning 4-3. But nevertheless, Solway have gone to the Link and give it to Swindon. And I think all the way through the game, I'm checking the stats here, Swindon didn't lead once in the game.
Yeah, that's a worrying stat, and the scoreline itself is worrying for Swindon. Like I say, 0-point weekend here for Swindon when, again, like I say, other teams are trying to find a bit of form as the push for playoffs comes around. They're in a good place at the top of the standings, but you want to get this wrapped up and done early. Like I say, we'd had a bit of a joke with a couple of the lads down there and having this countdown of victories they need, but I don't know, maybe when you're doing things like that and it's a bit jovial and you have a weekend like this, you need to think, we need to just maybe can that, and we need to get back to what we do and what we do best.
And the biggest thing for them they'll have been hoping, and we will go into the other results, that teams around them sort of did the same. But yeah, I think maybe just a little bit of a reality check for Swindon maybe this week. I don't think they'll have been like, oh no, they've still got quite a decent lead at the top of the table. But it begs to think that how much of a loss Ben O'Connor is to his injury. Like, it just seems since he's not been playing for the last few weeks, they've had a little bit of a roller coaster, don't it? And, I imagine he's still in the room and sort of supporting the boys, but how much of an impact is he having when he's in the room, obviously, and when he's not on the ice and things like that? Does that calming presence go out the window? Because it's not coincidental. Mac has said it. What he said it. So many people have said it. Ben O'Connor is probably the signing of the season, and when he's playing, look at what Swindon was doing and where they were. Now that he's not there, I don't want to bash Swindon, but it just makes you think, doesn't it? Like, I'm hoping that they can refine that form, because it'd be kind of nice to see someone new win the title. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting running. Hopefully for them, they can sort of refine that form.
Yeah, I mean, what you've said there, I kind of liken it to what happened with Caleb McPhee earlier in the season. Yeah. I remember at the beginning of the season, and he was part of everything good about Telford when there was flying straight out of the blocks at the beginning of the season. And obviously he got that bit of a weird injury. And then since he left the squad at that point, the sort of just nosedived off a bit, and you think, oh, what's going on here? And you can only put 2 and 2 together, and it was the same scenario really. They lost a big defenseman and it hit them hard, and maybe Swindon are just having that as well. And you find out who your biggest players are and the biggest cogs in the wheel. Yeah,
100%. Knowing our luck, he'll be back for Sunday, won't
he? Yeah, typical. He'll be fancying it as well, no doubt.
Yeah. I heard what you said on that podcast.
So to carry on with the rest of the results then from Saturday. So the next one was Basingstoke Bison hosting the Bristol Pitbulls, and the Bison taking this one 5-4 in overtime. So I think this one was a bit of a tough one to call, not really knowing what was happening for both teams. Bristol on a bit of a downturn. Obviously Basingstoke played Seahawks the night before and got that 3-0 defeat. but they managed to get another 2 points, and well, both teams getting a point at least. And I think that's massive for both of them, really.
Yeah, it is. I can't move on from this one without saying that I feel like Bristol might have been disappointed I think Bison went 1-0 up and then Bristol replied with like 4 goals. So they've lost from 4-1 down to then for the Bison to take it to overtime and win it. But like credit to the Bison where it's due, because if you are 4-1 down, look what happened with MK. You can fold, can't you, and just sort of be like, well, it's not our night. Let's just lick our wounds and on to the next one. But they probably recognise that Bristol are one of their immediate rivals, and to take that extra point off them is only good, isn't it? So I think Bison need a lot of credit this weekend. Well, for that game anyway.
So next game, Milton Keynes Lightning there hosted the Romford Raiders, and the Raiders won 6-4. So not a good weekend for MK, really, is it? 0-point weekend for them. Not great if they want to be pushing for the top sort of spots for them playoff seedings.
No, definitely not.
Sheffield Steel Dogs hosting the Leeds Knights. The Leeds Knights taking this one 2-1.
We was talking about this a lot, weren't we? And saying like sort of a preview for the cup. And I tell you what, if this is what it's going to be like, it's going to make for a very, very interesting cup doubleheader, isn't it? Because I know there was shenanigans, there was fisticuffs, there was penalty minutes galore, which then got downgraded. So much to see, and Leeds squeezing through 2-1, showing signs of last season, I think, where in these big games or previews of big games, in this instance, they got the job done, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I just want to touch back on the penalty incidents and the fighting at the end of the game, because it was wild. Because I remember looking at the sort of the match report, and there was players in there down for fighting that you would never have expected to be down there for fighting. The glaringly obvious ones for me was Berg Enginov and Sobchak down for fighting. I thought that was wild. These players that are special for what they can do with the puck on the stick, and there they are showing what they can do when the gloves are off.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think the reason why it got downgraded is I've been scouring the internet trying to find out the reason why. No one actually dropped the gloves, I think. So I don't know whether it was just a case of the referees felt they couldn't control it, or so they've binned them or something like that. But yeah, all of them got downgraded to just roughing, I think, minors or something like that. And it was all free to play on the Sunday. So if you didn't know that and you was wondering, you're probably thinking Planet Ice are cheating because Leeds are a Planet Ice team. It's not the case. It's just there was a lot of handbags going on. So and I imagine, to be honest with you, it's because it was a preview of the game. That's to come, and I don't think either side will have wanted to lose that. Obviously, they don't want to lose anyway. But in a game of that sort of nature, where like this could be sort of a feeler for the future. You almost want to have the bragging rights of being like, yeah, we've been to your barn and we beat you. You wait till you come to ours.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely bang on the money there, and that we did say it last week. We did say that game is just more than just a league game at this point. It was a preview, and what better to have that sort of upper hand going into the first leg of that final.
Yeah, for sure.
The final game on the Saturday, Telford Tigers hosting the Peterborough Phantoms, and the Telford Tigers taking this one 7-4. So quite a high scoring game, really.
Yeah, Telford's only game of the weekend, this, and that's a great result. I think Peterborough, when they're on the ball kind of thing or going forward, they're a tough team to play. So it's almost a story of Telford season where they're just sort of like, we're going to score more goals than you, and that's how we're going to win. And they did it, didn't they? Shout out to a couple of people from Peterborough. Yanni Lakonen got 4 assists in this game for all 4 goals, which is a joke. And Luke Ferrara, I believe, I can't remember how many goals he scored in this game. Might have been, I can't remember. Maybe did he get? No, I don't know. We'll get into it later on. But I know he got 1 goal, especially because that sort of put him as Peterborough's all-time point scorer and goal scorer. So an absolute credit to him, and 31 years old as.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I did see like the puck he had with the wrapping on it, saying about his feat he's achieved, and fair play to him. He has been around for a little while. Ferrara, what do we say about him? We've seen him all season. You look at the stats all season. He's top goal scorer, point scorer. He's been there all season, and it's not the first time he's done it. So yeah, he deserves it, to be fair, and big congratulations to him.
It's not a coincidence, is it? So a fair play, a massive fair play to him. Captain, everything you want from a Brit as well. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah. So that was Saturday. Moving on to Sunday, the 15th of Feb. Bristol Pitbulls hosting the Sheffield Steel Dogs. And we said this was sort of like, El Doggy or something like that. I don't know.
El Doggy.
But the big talking point, Bristol taking this one 6-5.
Doing Swindon a massive favour, by the way.
Yeah, but Sheffield on a bit of a downturn of form at the moment. They've had a bit of a topsy-turvy turn of things at the minute.
0-point weekend for Swindon and Sheffield. You wouldn't have called it, would you? Especially with the teams who are playing. I know obviously they've both had to play Leeds, which can go up in the air, but no disrespect to Bristol and Solway, but you'd be expecting those sides to both be taking 2 points there. So yeah, a big credit to Bristol in this game. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Jake the Snake coming up with a hat-trick in this one. I definitely know that's the case. And yeah, I think John Dunbar got maybe like 4 assists in this game. Like, really, really big credit. Like, fair play to Bristol, because it'll have been one that they definitely needed. And to wrap up a 3-point weekend's not too bad, actually, if you reflect on it.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Like you said, they've had to go to overtime the night before, maybe being a bit of disappointment there, not taking the extra point against Basingstoke, but then to really ramp it up and go at the Steel Dogs there, that is a massive win for them. And I think we'll look at it when we look at the league standings, but it does shake it up again, where Leeds looked like they was dropping away. They've sort of pulled it back together now with some of these results. And Sheffield have been a team for the past month or so in our predictor, or I've just gone Sheffield. And now I'm sort of questioning myself and going, what's happening at Sheffield at the minute? Are they worth backing? But it's like you say, it's just been one of those weekends where it's been hard to predict, and you've got to enjoy it as a neutral, I guess.
Yeah, you do, definitely. Let's go into the next game as well, because I've got something to say about this one. Let's just go into it.
So Romford Raiders hosting the Leeds Knights. It was Leeds Knights' third game of the weekend, if I'm correct in what I'm saying. Yeah, so they played Swindon on the Friday, they played Sheffield on the Saturday, and then Romford on the Sunday. But unfortunately slipped away from a little bit here. Romford taking this one 4-3.
Romford have had a hell of a weekend this weekend. Back-to-back 4-point weekends as well. I know we sort of went over MK and Romford pretty quickly about MK having sort of like a bit of a rubbish night there, but Romford are another one of these teams where I think the bottom three will be looking at Romford and going, for God's sake, they've got another win and another win and another win. But they just seem to be churning it out, and I don't think they're necessarily relying on one line, but they've just got personnel through the lines who are just playing really, really well at the moment. They've got Leishram, obviously, who was the captain. He speaks for himself. He puts points up like no tomorrow. TJ Anderson's got his 100th goal for Romford this weekend. Goal, that is, by the way. And he's 21. That's sick. That's sickening. That it's a joke. Like, what other 21-year-old in this league has banged 100 goals? Goals in already, not points. It's ridiculous. They've got Jarrett Baker, who's obviously a defenseman. He's keeping the puck out of the net, but also putting the puck in the net at the other side. Jake Sylvester's got a hat-trick on against MK. They've just got so much going on for them, and I think that they're a side that, when it comes to playoff time, I think they could really upset some teams. Look at this game as well, like Leeds, for example. I know you can argue there that obviously Leeds have had, they're into 180 minutes of hockey this weekend, which is a lot, but they're no pushovers, and they're athletes at the end of the day, and this is their livelihood, this is their job. So yeah, I think it's a massive credit to Romford for tying up this 4-point weekend, because it's huge for them.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Absolutely quality for Romford, and really good weekend. And like you said, they're looking for a playoff spot as well, so this won't harm that, will it? Great push.
No, definitely not.
Hull Seahawks hosting the Milton Keynes Lightning. Obviously, we've covered that. Hull Seahawks taking that one 5-1, 4-point weekend. Hull Seahawks. And the final fixture, the Peterborough Phantoms hosting the Solway Sharks. Peterborough taking this one 4-1. So a bit of comeback down to reality for Solway, and Peterborough just doing what they do best at home there, taking a 4-1.
Yeah. This is the game that Ferrara got a hat-trick. This is the game. I was thinking, was it this one the Telford game. But yeah, I think he got 2 against Telford and a hat-trick on this one. And I think he got the assist for the first goal as well. Like, this guy's just nuts, isn't he? And I think, to be fair, if you're Solway and you've got 2 away games in a weekend and you've got Swindon and Peterborough, if you get offered that 2 points on the Friday, you probably take it, don't you, Az? And there's no shame to lose 4-1 to Peterborough. I wouldn't say like that win against Swindon will do that camp a hell of a lot of good in terms of confidence. So yeah, I think not too many worrying signs. One thing of note though, I think I don't know if Yancey's got another big penalty in this game, which meant that so 58-59. Jonathan Yancey's call for fighting. So I don't know whether he'll be banned again for another game, which seems a shame because he's one of their big hitters. But in this game, can you believe they didn't play Dylan Stewart? Dylan Stewart didn't play in this game. Stewie, which top point scorer for the side this year. I know they're sort of mixing it up in terms of their imports. They've got that Prada, haven't they? Who obviously they didn't anticipate to be an import, who is now back, I imagine, from injury because he played both games this weekend. But yeah, obviously with Yancey out, it's a big loss, but Stewie comes in, so it's yet to be seen if it's going to be a big, have a big impact or not. But I realistically, at this stage in the season, when you're chasing that 8th spot, you probably don't want to lose Yancey, do you?
No, absolutely not. So that wraps up the results for this weekend. Let's have a look at the standings. So things changed slightly here and there, but it's still Swindon Wildcats who lead the pack, 43 played, 67 points. Sheffield in second, 44 played, 58 points. Sheffield now classed as qualified for the playoffs. Leeds Knights in third, 43 played, 56 points. So on that sort of bearing, if Leeds were to beat Hull Seahawks on Wednesday night, Leeds Knights will then have also qualified for the playoffs. Peterborough Phantoms in fourth, 43 played, 54 points. Hull Seahawks in fifth, 43 played, 51 points. Telford in sixth, 43 played, 48 points. Milton Keynes down in seventh, 43 played, 44 points. Romford in eighth, 43 played, 40 points. Solway Sharks ninth, 44 played, 35 points. Bristol 10th, 43, 33 points. And Basingstoke bottom of the pile, 42 played, 32 points.
Where do you want to start, mate? Top or bottom?
I want to start Milton Keynes 7th down to the bottom, if I'm honest. Okay. Because looking at it, I didn't realise how close Milton Keynes are to potentially slipping away. And I know it's 9 points, but what if Milton Keynes didn't make playoffs?
That is a massive talking point, and you're not the first person to sort of be in touch with the pod about that. Someone messaged me privately on my private account and said, like, MK could slip out here, and I was like, surely not. But Romford are a 4-point weekend away from them, and Solway aren't that far behind, And again, Bristol have only got 2 points behind Solway. They've got a game in hand. So, can you imagine going from, like, how often does this happen? Playoff champions to not making the playoffs.
I mean, there's having bad seasons, but you've still got to be in that 8. A club the size of Milton Keynes can not make it. That is, I didn't realise it was as close as that, and I know it's still a bit far out at 9 points. It's still 4 or 5 wins difference, and we are getting close to that end of the season where we've only got about 13 games left. But if Milton Keynes lose half of those games and the likes of Solway get those, there could be a real problem on here for MK. I still think if they finish 8th, I think that is a terrible season. Now, like I say, I had MK to win the league this year. To finish 8th would be a wild finish.
You wouldn't have bet 100. If someone gave you 1,000 to 1 odds, you wouldn't put a penny on it at the start of the season for them to finish 8th. So yeah, you can say it's injuries. You can say it's You can say it's t-shirts. You can say all kinds of things, can't you? But I just don't know. Is it imports? Is it coaching? You don't know. Is it the fact that we can't get a Slapshot special with the MK Lightning? Oh, sorry, I didn't say that. Just a little joke there. But yeah, God knows. Maybe. Well, is it coincidental that every other team's doing well at the moment and every other team, apart from Sheffield? But again, we'll talk about that. We're going to Slapshot special.
think you're onto something with that one, mate.
It is
Where else do you want to look? Middle, top of the table? You know, despite a bad weekend, Swindon still look pretty good.
So we was talking, weren't we, not so long ago, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, about Swindon needing to win 10 games. Since that point, they've won 1 out of 4, yet Swindon only need to win 6 games now to win the title. So that sort of speaks on the form of Sheffield as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because, you know, if Swindon don't win a game and Sheffield don't win a game, one of those counters goes down. So so the maximum amount of points now that Sheffield can get in this season is 78. Swindon are on 67 already, and we've got 11 games to go for the season. So realistically, they need to win half the games now. Not even half the games, and they've won the title, haven't they? The question is, do they have the bottle? Do they have
Tottenham in the scars?
I did a poll earlier on, and I sort of did it on purpose because I wanted us to have a couple of talking points to end this sort of segment. And it was who's going to win the league. And there was a resounding number of votes for Swindon. So I put in there Swindon, Sheffield, and Leeds. We did a post, and NIHL kindly collaborated on it. Out of those 3, who do you think was the team that people were saying had the least chances?
Leeds.
And there was about 5 people who voted for Sheffield, and more than double of that for Leeds. Don't know what it is, but a lot of people are sort of like second guessing Sheffield now, which seems crazy, doesn't it? Because they've been a real big form team in the season, and they've pushed Swindon for quite a while. But you look at the standings now, I don't know how many points they had on Leeds at one point, but Leeds have got a game in hand, and they're only 2 points behind Sheffield. So yeah, I mean their recent form is really telling now, and the fact that those, you know, our metaphorical counter for Swindon is just ticking down and ticking down and ticking down. 6 games to go. It seems a mammoth task for Sheffield, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, but I think puts more pressure on this Leeds and Hull Seahawks Wednesday night game because, like you say, Leeds win that, they qualify for playoffs, and then they become on the same points as Sheffield, and they can sort of get that second place back. You know, they can maybe accept that it's been, you know, a bit of a poorer season for Leeds, and Swindon have been quality, and I think they'll just tip the hats and say, you know, you have been the better team, but at least we've come in second. You know, that isn't bad for us. At least we've pushed. So a lot riding on that Wednesday night game. But once again, you know, Seahawks are in a great position and a great bit of form, and we've got Heskey, so bring it on, I say.
Heskey time.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, that wraps up the standings as well. It's shaping up nicely. You know, like you mentioned, there's like 11 games left, and a lot can still happen in those 11 games. It's not just going to be, you know, the run of the mill. Let's just get through these 10 games and move on. Like you say, the positions of that middle of the pack and who they will seed against in the group phase of the playoffs is still an interesting one. So let's see how it plays out.
Absolutely, mate. Can't wait for it.
Let's have a look at our team of the week for this week. So now we're going to have a look at our team of the week for this week. Some clear, outstanding players. Some of these players have been in a few times now. They seem to be coming into sort of the peak of their powers, as it were, and just seem to be scoring or assisting for fun. But we're not going to begrudge putting them in the list just because they've been in 2 or 3 times already. So we'll get straight into it with our netminder. This guy, since he started in the league, all we keep saying is his name, and I can't wait for more and more teams, fans to be able to see him, to see what we're rambling on about, because I wouldn't be rambling on if he wasn't that good. But it is the Hull Seahawks, Alex Heiskanen. This guy is an absolute jerk shop. He's had me with my head in my hands and thinking, I've seen it all. Just unbelievable. There's no more words we can say about this guy. He seems to have been man of the match every game he's played in. His characteristics, his personalities, he's a class act, and his little body dive across the ice at the end of the games. He should be just giving it just for that alone, to be honest with you. I've never seen anything like. But to get down to the nitty gritty, on Friday night, Heskey made, you know, 27 saves for the 27 shots he had on him, getting his first shutout as a Hull Seahawk, and that alone is in such a short space of time is a massive feat. So a big shout out to him for that one. And on the Sunday, he was 48 seconds away from making it a double shutout, but unfortunately, Forsberg of MK Lightning just sort of shattered our dreams and hopes and ruined the night. But there you go. So Heskey is now top spot for save percentage, and other than his first game versus Swindon, it's averaged a save percentage of 95.34%, which is only seemed to be reserved for Sam Gospel. But this guy's come flying in and he's taken that top spot, and fair play to him, and it's just only better that he plays for us.
Absolutely, mate. It's an absolute pleasure seeing him every week. And yeah, the season pass is worth the money when you see him sliding across the ice. It's a thing of beauty. It's an absolute thing of beauty. I encourage more celebrations from netminders. But yeah, I can't say enough about him. I don't think there's any more words for us to say about him that we haven't already said. He's an unbelievable player, isn't he?
Yeah.
Let's go into our defensemen then, and we're going to go to the Bristol Pitbulls this week, who probably haven't featured in our team of the week for a while. But we are going to go for Tanner Butler. So obviously it was a very busy weekend for Bristol in both nets, really. But to Bristol's credit, they've still come out with 3 valuable points. And Tanner did play a big part offensively this week. He's chipped in an assist against Basingstoke on Saturday in that 5-4 overtime loss. But then he went one better by adding 3 assists on Sunday versus Sheffield, who, again, are second place in the league. Obviously helping to lift Pitbulls off the bottom of the table, which has got to feel nice for them.
Absolutely. You know, another guy we've seen to mention quite a bit this season, and he is having a really good season. And you know, long may it continue for a team like that need big characters at the moment to carry them through. Fair play.
Definitely.
Our other defenseman, we're going to go to the Romford Raiders, and this guy, I think he just wants permanent residency on this team of the week. I think he loves it, to be honest with you. And it is Jarrett Baker. We talk about guys who carry from the back and how good they are for the teams. This guy is another one of those. Like you say, it seems to be every week we mention Jarrett Baker this, Jarrett Baker that. 2 goals, 2 assists this weekend, back-to-back 4-point weekends, and he's playing a big part of it and is at the heart of it as well. Playing in that D core for them. As bad as it sounds, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody else in the league does look at this guy, because he's worth a snipe, if I'm honest with you. If you got somebody like this in your team, you'd be onto a flyer, wouldn't you?
Yeah, for sure.
So on Saturday, Jarrett scored and assisted once against MK, which has proven to be a difficult place to go, in previous months. And then on Sunday, Leeds visited the Sapphire and Bakes recreated his output again by scoring Romford's 3rd goal before assisting the match winner. I mean, that's unbelievable, isn't it? And then currently the top scoring defenseman in the league, 17 goals and 30 assists in 42 games. So he's on a positive on points as well, which is just wow.
17 goals from a defenseman is just ridiculous, isn't it? It's an outrage.
Yeah.
And there's, again, like you say, there's been people messaging us this week saying, like, I'd be surprised if MK didn't try and go for Baker.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if Swindon wasn't sniffing about, and stuff like that. Like, he is worth his weight in gold, Baker. He was the guy who I was mentioning earlier, and I was thinking, is Jarrett Baker probably one of the most underrated players in the league? And I thought, is he the most underrated player in the league? And obviously there is corneos and people like that, but I genuinely think that Jarrett Baker might be the most underrated player in the league this season, because what he's done for Romford is unbelievable.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. He's been a class act, and another player that you can't really say much more for, because everything's good about him.
When it comes to team of the season, like, despite where Romford finished, he's got to be in for a sniff there.
Absolutely, agreed.
So we will go into our forwards then, and we're going to go to the Peterborough Phantoms, who did have a bit of a up and down weekend, but this guy definitely deserves his credit, and that, of course, is Luke Ferrara. So obviously they travelled to Telford on Saturday night. He got 2 goals against them in that 7-4 loss to them. Despite not getting the 2 points, as we mentioned earlier, one of those goals was really significant to Luke as he became the all-time point scorer and goal scorer for Peterborough. So a massive credit to him. Well done. And how did he celebrate that? With a hat-trick and an assist in a 4-1 win on Sunday against Solway. So, yeah, amazing, really good performance over the weekend. Obviously, that puts him 5 goals and 1 assist for the weekend, and he's now on 88 points in 43 games. And at 31 years old, you could just see him continuing to do it for years to come, couldn't you?
It's absolute wild, that 88 points in 43 games, 2 points a game sort of average. What more could you ask?
That's it, and there's still 11 games to go. Like, he could put some serious numbers up this season. Like, I'm talking like 110, 120 points maybe. Like, that'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, it would. And it's worth noting, I know it's a bit of a giveaway, but the only Brit in the team of the week this week as well. So fair play to him. Our next forward, somebody who we know very well, but unfortunately is no longer in the Hull Seahawks, and it is Leeds Knights, Owen Sobchak. Thanos, the inevitable, as we've always dubbed him and called him, is doing it now for Leeds. Mentioned earlier on, he struggled a little bit after his first couple of games, but seems to have found a bit of form once again. So they lost that last game on the Sunday, but other than that, they won the 2 games against Sheffield and Swindon, which was massive for Leeds, and show that still have a bit of bite about them when they need to, and showing that when it comes to that cup final against Sheffield, they aren't going to just let Sheffield walk over them, which was massive. So despite their loss on Sunday, secured 4 points and pulled back the lead Sheffield had on them for second place, which we mentioned. Leeds win on Wednesday, they will go joint points and qualify for playoffs. On Friday night, Sob scored 2 and assisted 2 and got man of the match against Swindon. And on Saturday night, Leeds beat second place Sheffield, with Sobchak grabbing assists on both goals in a 2-1 win. So when you want big players for the big nights against the biggest of teams, Sobchak again standing on his head and creating absolute magic and chaos. And it doesn't really surprise me, if I'm honest with you. It's good to see him get back to a bit of form. It's a shame he did leave the Seahawks, but a great guy. You only want the best for him, and we're seeing that again this weekend, which is really good.
Yeah, for sure. He was a massive player for us, but he'll be equally as massive for Leeds. And Leeds don't just sniff and take anybody, do they? Like, they'll recognise how good he is. And again, he's done that even on the Sunday night as well. He get a goal and assist as well against Romford. Like, it just speaks for himself. 3 goals and 5 assists in 3 nights against first and second place in the table and one of the form teams of the league. Like, nothing to wince at, is it? So fair play to Sobs. Finally, then we'll go back to Bristol, and it's somebody who featured massively last season. Maybe not as much this season, but maybe one as well that's sort of gone under the radar because he has still put up a lot of points this season. And that is Jake Bricknell. So again, it was a much-needed 3-point weekend for Bristol, and Bricknell really did come through with the goods. So on Saturday, he put up a goal and 2 assists to help Bristol take the game to overtime before obviously falling short. But on Sunday, they made sure that didn't happen again. And Jake really did take charge in this game. He put 3 goals and an assist past Sheffield. And again, obviously taking them off that bottom spot and sort of, pushing them towards sort of the eighth race, keeping them in there. It's a really big weekend for Bristol, I'd say. And obviously, when you're putting the money in and attracting a name like Jake Bricknell to your team, it's important that you've got him playing. And obviously, he's doing that at the moment.
I think there's got to be a lot said here for Bricknell. I know there was a lot of things said about his move and how it happened, but to play for Swindon the season before, finishing the top 3-4 in the league, he put over 100 points away, and he's still put the numbers up for a team that, no disrespect, are going to be towards the bottom of the league. And it says a lot about him for a quality of a player. A lot of people say it's easy when you're doing it for the top teams. Go try and do it for the teams at the bottom of the league. And he's proved he can do it still. So it shows how good of a player he is.
Absolutely. I'm just getting it up now. He's 3rd in the league for stats, for points. He's got 78 points in 43 games. So it's not like he's not churning out points and things like that. And you are right. It's a big test that to sort of be like, well, are you can you do it at the top and the bottom? If you put Kieran Brown in for Bristol, would he do it? But Bricknell's proven that he can. He's got 37 goals this season. You know, like, if you get 30, you're buzzing, aren't you? You're like, that's a real good season. And he's still going. He's 41 assists. Like, and again, we've got 11 games to go. And I can imagine as the season ramps on and we're coming to an end, that next gear is going to be needed so much. And he's going to be pushing that extra, 110%. So it'll be interesting to see where Bristol sort of end up with a player like that in their ranks.
Yeah, and the last little thing for me is just that race for 100 points and seeing who's the best to get there. It's going to be interesting to see who does, because there is a lot of players now sort of reaching the 70, 80 mark, and with 10 games to go, you'd expect somebody to hit those heights of 100. Who it'll be, we'll see, but I don't think it'll be the usual suspects.
No, definitely not. And don't you think it's like one person that we haven't had in our team of the week this week, which might be a little bit criminal, is Yanni Laakkonen, and he got 7 assists this weekend. Like, that's stupid. So we'll talk about honourable mentions and stuff like that, but Yanni definitely deserves that. When you're talking about the race for 100 points, as I looked back at the stats. Luke Ferrara's got 88 points in 43 games. Yanni Laakkonen's got 80. He's got Feds has got 88 in 43. Yanni's got 83 in 40. So on average, Yanni Laakkonen's putting up like 0.5, like 0.5. No, I think Feds is on like two points a game, and Yanni's like actually ahead of him, which is at 43 years old. Is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, he'll be on like a 2.05%. Bloody.
Right. Yeah.
Wild.
Mental. 72 assists this season. That's
just
ridiculous.
Imagine him, bro. He must be horrible when it's like an empty netter. He must look and go, no, I can't shoot. I have to assist someone.
Ferrara, have this. Come up, have this.
He'll just like gun it down the entire length of the ice, wrap around the goal, and hope somebody's coming up for a tap in.
Come with me. But yeah, like, massive shout out to Yanni, because that's crazy, isn't it? Like, fair play to him. Should we go through some more honourable mentions before we wrap it up?
Yeah. So another one that you've mentioned there, Brendan Sellen, Hattie versus Bristol for a big 5-4 win for the Basingstoke Bison. So a hat-trick's always, something to be celebrated for anybody. They don't come round every weekend for certain players. So big one to celebrate that one.
Yeah, nice. That was his first professional hat-trick, I think, as well, which is nice.
That's class, that. Love that. What else have we got on here? So Jake Sylvester, another player that we've talked about quite a lot. Even last season we mentioned how good he is. He got Hattie versus MK plus 2 assists versus Leeds. So against two of the better teams in the league, 5 points. Brilliant.
Yeah, really good.
Another player that's seems to get mentioned a lot, Ben Benjinoff from Sheffield Steel Dogs, Hattie versus Bristol, and his 5-minute fighting that he got on the Saturday, which was obviously, as we mentioned, got downgraded to a roughing call. But again, another player that we didn't expect to be involved in those shenanigans. But he's again had a great season, hasn't he?
Yeah, unreal.
Sheffield will do well to keep hold of him. Yanni, as you mentioned, and then one of our own, Bobby Chamberlain, 2 goals, 4 assists over the weekend.
Yeah,
so
I think. Sorry.
I just wanted to mention how obviously Bobby's suffered a little bit with injuries this season, and it has shown a few times on the ice where it looks like he's playing through the pain barrier, and I don't know if he's healed in a better place or whatnot, but his form seems to have come round a bit more again now. Don't know if that's just him dealing with the pain or what, but the goals and assists have come back a bit more for him, which is good to see, because he's a really good player for us and key for what we're trying to do.
Yeah, he's massive, isn't he, Bobby? And I think, again, to be honest with you, we could mention all 3 of those guys on that top line this weekend, like Speck and Geordie Stallard as well. Maybe not the stats for Stallard, but in terms of like numbers, but all 3 of them have been absolutely massive for us this week. And that this, Speck as well seems to be, that confidence that's oozing out of him at the moment's great. And Bobby's just Mr. Reliable at the moment, even playing through the pain, he was getting the odd goal, assists and things like that. So, yeah, really glad that we've got him and nobody else has.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that wraps up Team of the Week for this week. Well done to those that we've honourably mentioned, and a big congratulations to those that have made the Team of the Week. So now we're going to have a look at the upcoming fixtures for this weekend and do our predictor. But before we jump into that, we need the bad news of what the scores on the doors are this week.
Well, this is a segment that I've not been looking forward to, if I'm honest with you, because I tried going safe this week, like pretty much all of us did, and it really backfired. I usually like the Solway Sharks, didn't this week. They messed me up. I usually like Romford, they messed me up, but we digress anyway. So going into the weekend, we had Brad in third place. He was on 147 points, 4 points behind me, who I was in second place with 151. And Azza was on 160 points in first place, so I still had that nice 7-point cushion on me. First of all, before we get into it, realistically, how do you think that you did? I know that we all didn't go for the same in every single result. So what do you reckon? Of the three of us, how do you reckon you did all placed?
I'll go middle of the pile. But I think we've all probably had a bad weekend here. I'd be lucky if we got 4 or 5 points, in my opinion. But
we'll start with the best. So the top score this week was 7.
Oh, nice.
Second place got 6. The bottom got 3.
Wow.
And 3 points. So someone's had a stinker. I can reveal that said person who had a stinker was me.
Oh, God.
And to say that I was only 4 points ahead of Brad is definitely not the week that I want to have a stinker.
No, absolutely not.
I got 3 results right this week, and I just don't know how. I predicted that Hull would beat Bison, Hull would beat MK, and Peterborough beat Solway. Every other result I got wrong, which is crazy. Like that just does not happen.
No, that is wild.
And so I am currently jittering a little bit. So this person who scored 6 points got 6 correct results, whereas the person who got 7 points got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 correct results, but they got a perfect score.
Nice.
So if they hadn't got a perfect score, obviously that person who got 6 would have won.
Yeah.
So I can reveal that Brad's 3-week reign has ended. He was in second place this week with 6 points. You, Azza, was this week's winner, so congratulations. You correctly predicted Peterborough to beat Solway 4-1.
Get in.
So fair play, mate. Good result, that. Yeah, really good. So that does change the table up a little bit. We had a bit of a cushion, me and you, at one point, didn't we? I was top of the table for the mid part of the season, living it up, loving it, cracking up the jokes. We go into this week, so the standings are still the same, but get a load of this. In third place is Brad with 153 points. In second place is Rossy with 154 points.
Oh!
1 point. And in first place with 167 points, it is Azza. So as you have a 13-point stretch at the moment, and Brad has well and truly caught me up. When he watches this, he'll be laughing like you know what. So yeah, I am worried here.
That is an absolute madness. Like you say, you had your deck chair out, your hands behind your head, and you were surfing up the sun.
I was googling worst what's the word? What worst consequences for losing the predictor? What can I do to my mates to embarrass him at Coventry? No, I'm like,
gonna fall on you.
Maybe there were consequences this year or starting next year.
Oh God, imagine.
Yeah. God, yeah, not good. I'm not. I'm a little bit worried, mate, if I'm honest.
Well, the only way is up, mate. So let's look at the fixtures and see if we can pick you up any points here. So the first game that we're going to talk about, and due to the way we're going to release the episode this week, which will be Tuesday, we've already covered this game and we already have our predictions. But on Tuesday, it's Sheffield Steel Dogs hosting the Telford Tigers, and you've got what we predicted for this, haven't you?
Yeah. So we was going to release on Wednesday, but obviously with it being sort of Seahawks and us having a midweek fixture, we kind of want to just chill and enjoy that one without putting everything on the social medias. Sorry about that, guys. But we predicted that. Well, I predicted that we would Sheffield would win 4-2. Brad predicted that Sheffield would win 4-1, and you predicted that Sheffield would win 6-3.
Interesting. I've probably made a massive mistake looking at how Sheffield have been playing here, and we probably all have, to be honest.
Before this weekend, though, as you know, you wouldn't have predicted that they wouldn't have beat Bristol, would you? Like maybe Leeds, you know, sort of. You don't know how that's going to go, but we all predicted that. I don't know. Me and you both predicted Sheffield for a 4-point weekend. Brad actually backed Leeds to beat Sheffield. He backed them 4-3, which was quite similar with it being like a 2-1. You know, like quite tight. So he's got a bit unlucky with some of them, but. Yeah, so it begs to be seen, doesn't it, of how many of those Telford lads work during the day and however it works out. But yeah, it'll be an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, so the fixtures that we are going to predict: Wednesday, the 18th of February, first game, Bristol Pitbulls host the Swindon Wildcats. So I think you've got Brad's predictor, haven't you? What did Brad go for?
So first off, Brad went Bristol 1, Swindon 4. So a Swindon away win.
I'm going to go for Swindon, but I'm going to go 4-3.
Interesting. So me and you are going sort of the same vein, yeah. I'm going to go Swindon to win, but I'm going to go 3-2. I think we're on the same ballpark there, right? We were like, Bristol can do it at home, but this needs to be the game where Swindon sort of switch it up and get over the line, I'd say.
Yeah. Hull Seahawks host Leeds Knights, which obviously we will be going to watch. I am going to go for Seahawks. I'm going to go for a 4-2.
Right. So Brad went Hull 3, Leeds 2. So he's back in the Seahawks as well. And I'm also going to follow suit. I'm going to go bold here, though, mate. I'm going to go Seahawks 4, Leeds 1.
Ooh.
I'm backing the man in the net. If you know, why not? And the defense. We're talking a lot about Heskey, but the defense has been playing really well as well. So 4-1. Why not go bold there?
Yeah. Last game on Wednesday is Peterborough Phantoms hosting the Bromford Raiders. Do you want to go first on this one?
I will go first on this one. I'll back Peterborough to win. I'm going to back them to win 5-3.
I was thinking the same, but I'm going to go for a Peterborough 5-2.
Nice. Let me just find Brad's on here. Yeah, Brad's gone the same. So Brad's gone Peterborough 4-3 win. So all of us back in Peterborough, regardless of Romford's good form at the moment, which seems interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, just Peterborough at home, Ferrara and Lackinen just doing what they do. I think that's where I'm going with that one.
Yeah, fair.
Thursday night game. So Basingstoke Bison host the Milton Keynes Lightning. I'm going to go for a Milton Keynes win. I'm going to go for a 4-1.
Brad's followed suit. He's going to go for a 4-2. And you know what, mate? Because of their stinky form, I'm going to go for Brook and I'm going to back the Bison. I'm going to back the Bison. I'm going to back them to win 3-2.
Interesting game. Like I say, Bison have got nothing to lose and they've got it about them, and Milton Keynes are on a serious wobble at the minute, so 100%. We'll see where that one ends.
Might be crazy. That might be one where Brad joins me on points there.
Just because of that decision alone.
Yeah.
Friday night hockey, and it sees Leeds Knights hosting the Hull Seahawks at the Castle. A place where we have struggled again this season, but there's a part of me just saying Hull Seahawks again. Yeah. 3-1 Hull Seahawks.
Nice.
Yeah.
I really do rate that. Brad has gone a Seahawks win. He's gone a little bit further in terms of scoreline. Brad's gone 5-4 to Hull. I'm going to join you both as well. I'm going to back Seahawks to win. I'll go again, similar to the Swindon score. I'll go 3-2. I just don't see us shipping like 5, 6, 7 goals in it.
Exactly that. I can't see us just losing at the minute with him in goal. He's just saving everything. So we'll move on to Saturday, the 21st of February, and the first game is Swindon Wildcats hosting the Basingstoke Bison, a game which has proved a bit slippery at times for Swindon this season. Obviously, this past week's form, are we going to get a repeat of how they've been? Who's to say? What do you reckon with this one?
I was thinking about this, obviously, the other week. Was it an overtime win for the Bison?
So, yeah.
So I will back Swindon, but I'm going to back them to win 5-4. And I think for the Bison, if they can beat MK and, maybe even take Swindon to overtime or something, I think that'd be a massive 3 points for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also going to go for Swindon, but I'm going to go for a 4-2 for Swindon.
Brad has backed Swindon as well. He backed them to win 6-3. So interesting one there. We're going for a clean sweep.
Bristol Pitbulls hosting the Peterborough Phantoms. I'm going to go for Bristol on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to go for 3-2.
Brad's also backed Bristol here.
Has he really?
Yeah.
I thought I was going against the grain.
Oh, yeah. So I thought that me and you would have gone the other way, But, yeah, Brad's backed Bristol. He's backed them to win 4-2 in this one, which is interesting, I'd say. I am going to back Peterborough. I'm hoping that this might be a point for me in my favour. But I don't think it'll be easy. I'm going to go Peterborough 4-3.
It's interesting that. I honestly thought I was going to be the odd one out there, but the fact that Brad's gone for that is an interesting one. I like that.
Yeah, interesting.
Milton Keynes Lightning hosting the Telford Tigers. What do we think?
So Brad has gone MK. He has gone 5-3. And after this weekend, I just don't know.
I'm leaning towards Telford here.
Yeah.
Genuinely. 4-2 Telford.
Nice. Screw it. Who cares? I know it's a points game, but I need to separate myself from him. That bit in being Brad, so I'm going to go for Telford as well. I'll back Telford to again win 4-3.
Interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Sheffield Steel Dogs host the Romford Raiders.
Do you want me to go first on this one?
If you want, yeah.
I think they need to get back to winning ways, Sheffield. And if I'm seeing correctly, they won't have played since the Tuesday. So they might have had a little bit more rest than Romford, who played on the Wednesday. Not that that'll matter too much. I will go for Sheffield to win, and I'll back them to win 5-3.
What did Brad go?
Brad went Sheffield 6-2.
I'm going to go Romford.
Nice.
And I'm going to go for a 5-3 Romford. So the opposite of you.
Very interesting.
I've backed Sheffield for so long and it's sort of fallen away. So I'm going to go against them and see what happens for a change.
Hey, this weekend proves exactly that, doesn't it? It's not the craziest prediction in the world.
Yeah. And the final game on the Saturday, the Solway Sharks host the Leeds Knights. So this one has been a bit of an issue in the past for Leeds. With that said, I'm going to back Solway to a 3-1 win.
Yeah. Brad's backs Leeds 5-3 here. But after last weekend with Solway, I really, really don't know which way to look. I think Dylan Stewart loves playing in front of the Shark Tank, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah,
and if it's sort of like, we haven't got Yansis this weekend, we need you to step up here, Dill. I can just imagine him being the hero. Yeah, so crazy as it sounds, I'm going to back Solway too. I'm going to back him to win 3-2. What did you say?
3-1.
3-1. I'll back him 3-2.
I'm
going to be like -4 points down this week, aren't I?
Oh, God.
One of us scored 0.
5 happens.
Imagine.
So let's roll on to the Sunday fixtures. The Basingstoke Bison hosting the Solway Sharks. What do you think?
Going to go Basingstoke 3-2.
I'm going to go Solway 4-2.
Brad's gone 3-2, so I'm really just trying to separate myself from him now, if I'm honest. Come on, the
I
Bison.
thought I'd be the only one again.
No, Bison. I think we can lock it down, hopefully.
So we have a repeat of this Saturday night. The Romford Raiders host the Sheffield Steel Dogs this time. I'm going to go back to Sheffield on this one. I'm going to go for a 4-2 Sheffield away win.
So they're going to trade. Away wins, right?
Yeah.
Brad has also gone Sheffield. He's gone Sheffield to win 5-4. I'm going to go Romford 4-3.
Some of these are class.
I'm very much going gung ho here, mate.
I'll say. Hull Seahawks host the Swindon Wildcats. What do you think?
So Brad's gone Hull Seahawks 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to follow him this time, actually. I'm not going to go against the grain. Just because I just genuinely don't know what Swindon's going to be turning up. I think they might have had a decent win against the Bison on the Saturday. So I can't imagine it to be an easy one. But I'll go Hull. I'll go 4-2.
I'm also going to go for Hull. I'm going to go 3-1.
Nice.
Peterborough Phantoms hosting the Bristol Pitbulls. So this is also a double header, if I remember rightly. Yeah, it is. I am going to go for Peterborough at home. 3-2.
Yeah, this is probably going to be a clean sweep. Brad has gone 4-1 Peterborough, and I'm going to follow suit by going 5-2 to Peterborough.
Fair. And the final game, Telford Tigers host the Milton Keynes Lightning. So again, a double header. I'm going to go Telford again. I'm going to go for a 4-2.
I'm going to go Telford. I'm going to go 6-4.
Heck.
Just that's the kind of vibe I get about their place. Just absolute goal fest. And Brad has joined us for a clean sweep. He has gone Telford 4, the Milton Keynes Lightning 2. So, yeah, clean sweep. So what we're saying there, we're saying pretty much me and you were saying Telford 4-point weekend, Hull 6-point week against Leeds, Leeds and Swindon. I'm backing the Bison for like a 4 or 6-point week. No, I'm not 4-point week, but yeah, very. But it'll be interesting. This is got to be brave or go home at this point in the stage for the predictor, and I've got to try and separate myself from Brad. So yeah, fair play.
Fair play. Well, that wraps us up then for another episode then, mate. It's been another good one. We've had a good laugh there, as we've predicted. It's probably our most outrageous predictions, but after last week, do you blame us? Especially for yourself there, where you've definitely dropped the ball a little bit on the lead that you had over Brad, and I'm sure he'll be laughing when he's watching this back.
You can say that again, mate. I don't know what's happened there. I'm going to have to look myself in the mirror, I think, this week and say, you don't want to be wearing a Leeds shirt at Coventry, then you need to sort yourself out, mate. That's not confirmed, by the way, everybody, but that would be punishment enough for any of us Hull Seahawks fans.
Yeah. What would you rather have, the Sobchak or a Brown?
Oh, imagine. Oh, no, but sitting in a Hull Seahawks end with a Leeds Sobchak shirt.
Getting mobbed.
Oh my God! I don't think I'd last the weekend. I genuinely think I'd get pummeled.
That'd be absolutely quality to see.
Imagine.
It's easy for me to say that though, isn't it, at the minute?
That might have to be the one that might have to be the punishment. Sobchak Leeds shirt in the whole end. Jesus, imagine.
And then have a picture with him with it as well. Be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be good.
But there we go. So that wraps us up for another episode. I think it's just worth saying a big thank you to everybody for the continued support and watching along. It's great to see the comments and feedback that we do receive on the posts that we do put up and the predictions we do where we open the forum. We're on a real roll at the moment. A lot of people jumping on the bandwagon and like I say, supporting us. And we've passed our year landmark now, so we look forward to year 2, don't we? And whatever comes next.
Yeah, for sure. Just want to reiterate what you just said there. The viewership, the interaction, everything's going really, really well at the moment. So I want to say a massive thanks to everybody, and we just want to reiterate as well that the push continues till the end of the season. We have got another Slapshot special coming very soon. It's quite an interesting one that I'm sure you guys will enjoy. But yeah, no, really, really appreciative of all the support that everyone gives us. And yeah, just keep that ball rolling.
Yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in next week's episode.
Slapshot Syndicate, pure ambition. 3 mics, 1 mission. Azza and Rossy, yeah, that's the crew. Dropping knowledge, what you gonna do?